Hello, future professionals. What we are going to do is we are going to do a blue plump fill-in or a structured nail fill-in. Now, this is going to be a guest that has been here previously, that has essentially a full set, but no tips or anything. And so this is where we get to break down everything, learn the fill and whatnot. All right, so our very first step is to have our guests sanitize our hands. We're wearing gloves, and then we are going to prep the nail. So we want to remove any gel polish that the guest has. Now this is going to come from us using either our 240 grit or our 180 grit from Tammy Taylor. You guys will have access to these on the nail clinic, and so it's going to be a little bit easier than this. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna etch this. Because this one is a little bit more aggressive than our nails, our file with the white side, which is our 180 grit, we wanna make sure we're not digging too far into that nail plate because we don't wanna do any damage to the nail. And so we just wanna make sure that we're getting shine. And again, this is someone who has had Blue Plump previously. And so it is going to have a little bit of strength underneath because of the nail product that we have. So I'm going to do this on all 5 nails, and I'll come back and I'll show you the other side. All right, so I have gone through and I've filed most of my nails. Now, as I can see within some of my nail product, I have a little bit of shine left, so I want to grab all of that. I can see in some of my nails that some of the polish has started to come up, which is a good thing. I'm actually going to pop over into my 180 grit in here, and I'm going to just do my rest of my filing. This is going to be a softer grit again, and so it's going to do the rest of that removal for me, which is so nice. I also want to make sure that I'm always going down the nail. I don't want to be going side to side because that is not naturally occurring within our nail growth, and so we don't want to do any nail damage. It can also hurt our guests if we are filing in that way, and so we never want to hurt our guests when we're filing. Ah, her finger fell off. Perfect, and as you can see, a lot of the polish has come off, so I'm going to continue this removal service throughout the nails, making sure that I am going in this direction and that I didn't go too deep with that purple file. All right, so I have gotten all the polish removed. We also want to make sure that when we are working, that we also are getting anything that's lifted. If it looks lifted, it does need to be removed. The reason being, if we go and put product on top of that lifted product, it could create a little air bubble where bacteria, water, anything could get underneath that nail. And we don't want to give our guests a fungus, or in layman's terms, a greenie. And so we want to make sure that we are removing all of that product that is lifted and take care of that. Now, our next step is we have a lot of nail dust here. And so what we need to do is switch out our gloves, our dental bib here. That way everything is fresh and clean and ready to go, so that we don't have to worry about any dust getting on that guest's nail while we do that service. Before we switch everything out, what we're going to do is cleanse our guests' nails. You can always have them go wash their hands as well. I'm just going to spray this, and I'm going to use a lint-free wipe just to kind of get everything removed, because my guests can't really go wash their hands. So I'm going to make sure everything is nice and removed and dusted, and then I can go through and start that plump process, which I will go through, but I'm gonna switch everything out. All right, so I have switched out my bibs and I am going to now start my process. I want to make sure that the guest is free of dust. I'm gonna push back that cuticle, and then any prep work I need to do. I'm gonna just say that I have already gone through, and I'm gonna come in here and I'm going to file just that natural nail. Just like how we did with the prep for our guest before the fill, it is the same prep. So I wanna make sure I'm gonna file buff, and then I'm going to use alcohol, and I'm going to cleanse that guest's nail of any nail dust that we have. And then I'm gonna come through with my Bond-It. Now, I don't need to apply Bond-It all the way throughout the nail because this nail has previous product on it. I'm just going to be applying that Bond-It back where that natural nail is growing, right? Then I'm gonna come in with my plump. I'm going to do a base layer. Just like if I was doing my fill, I'm gonna go from beginnings to ends. Because we still need a base at that cuticle area. So I'm gonna come in, apply to all 5 nails. That way you have the base done and prepped and ready to go. And then we can come back through. That was a lot. Come back through and do our slip layer and then our fill. All right, and we're going to cure this for our full minute and then come back and put our slip layer on. All right, I have fully cured my set, and I'm going to start off with the pinky. Now, if this is a real guest and I was working with all 10 fingers, I would then do the other hand to cure, and then I can go back through and apply my product finger by finger. That way, if you need to turn it over, you can. Okay, so I'm going to come in. I have a little dollop of product right here. Again, we want to make sure that we are not placing that product right at the cuticle right off the bat. The reason being is we do not want to flood our guest's nail. So my bead is going to stay a little bit further back from the cuticle, and then I'm just going to push it back into the cuticle area. That way I'm able to control my flow as well as how much product I'm putting back on that cuticle. The other thing that we want to think about is making sure we keep that apex where we want it to. So I'm just going to float the rest of my product. I'm going to just brush out. We shouldn't have a crazy amount of apex building that we need to do. And then if you're like, oh, I want to make sure that everything is okay, I'm going to flip my guest's hand over, check my balance of my nail. Everything is looking great from that cuticle area right in here. And so I'm going to go ahead and cure. Then that way, while I'm staying busy, I can do the other hand, flip, fill, cure, and vice versa. That way I'm continuing to work. I will show you guys one more nail, and then I will finish the set, and you guys will see what that looks like. All right. Now that I have this fully cured on this hand, on my pinky, I'm now going to do my fill on the next finger. I don't want an excess of product, so I'm going to wipe that first, and then I like to let it ball up just a little bit on the end there. Again, I'm placing more in the apex to the middle of the nail. That way I'm able to push that product back to the cuticle and I'm able to control where my product is going. I still have my guest angled towards me, towards the table. That way I'm able to guide the product a little bit further. And then I can check the sides, see how everything is looking. I want it to mellow out here first, and then I'm going to cure. All right, I'm going to finish my next few fingers and I will show you the finished product. All right, I have finished the fill. The next step is to continue that manicure process, apply your 2 coats of color and your top coat in cuticle oil.